people want my reaction to what happened. This is not about me. This is about Dimebag Darrell. Purely Darrell. It's not about me or some motherfucking psycho that happened to destroy the most beautiful f***ing person. One of my best friends in the world. It was the heavy metal goddamn media that destroyed Pantera. This is about Darrell, my brother of 17 years, Pantera's music changed people's lives, man.
What is perfect, you know? That's like saying, man, well, dude, you can play with feel and everything if you're a drummer, but you've got to stay in time. You know, you got to be solid. Well, all I can say is some of my favorite fucking records, the tempo shifts 3 or 4 times. When it takes off, you feel the fucking gas, the power behind it, and it goes. You feel the motherfucker's emotion, and it's moving. You can't stop it. It's like a fucking race car when it hits the gas. How can that be wrong?
1, 2, 3.
How did you start? What age did you start?
I was about 13 years old. I got a fake Les Paul, tried to be Ace Frehley, skipped school, dressed up like Kiss, you know, a bunch of shit like that.
Started off about the age of 14, half 15, around there. They had this Q102, it was a radio station back then that was the only happening rock station around there. They had hottest guitar player in Texas type thing. You know, they had the big commercial with Q102, hottest guitar. But what the deal was, it said record 2 minutes of your hottest playing, take them to this music store in Dallas, and they're going to listen to it. I mean, it was for all of Texas and stuff, and they listened to it, and they picked like the top, I believe, 15. Then there would be the big playoff, the big showdown at a popular club in Dallas, which was the Agora Ballroom. Anyway, so get up there and you play for something like 5 minutes apiece, get up there and wail and shit, and then they pick like the top 3 dudes. First time I got up there and I wailed and I did what I could. I got picked for the top 15, went to the club, had to get my parents to get me in the club and shit because I was underage. I was the youngest dude out of everybody. I didn't think I did that well. I got picked for the top 15 and we got out there, and then I got picked for the top 3. I hammered as hard as I could. Dude, I won first place and I just could not fucking believe it. It was a Dean guitar, like I play, and I just died because I always wanted one of those, and I won that. The next time they had another one, I entered. Of course, I got in, fucking won first place again, Charvel, entered again, won first place, got an ESP guitar, entered again. Next time, this is like 2 months per pop or 3 per pop.
What are you doing that people like? Just shredding?
I did a couple of licks that I'd made up on my own. I'm like one of them dudes got like decent at playing lead guitar, like within like 3 months or something like that. I could just like burn pretty quick. I had good chops and I could play lead, and actually had a half-assed idea about what it was. I think that showed through, and of course I listened to records and I sit down and I'd pick out leads and stuff. I would do like a little bit of a Edward Van Halen solo, maybe a little Eruption, Randy Rhoads or something like Mother Mother Earth or something like that. And I guess at the time, those were the real respected guitar players, and I did it well, man. The only dude that really, I think, taught me anything was my dad. He's like a real well-rounded musician. He plays acoustic guitar real fluently, and he plays electric guitar. I mean, he plays anything from rock to country, and he's always cutting his own tunes. So he plays everything on his tunes. He plays I come in and he's doing a keyboard part, and I go, what the fuck is he doing, you know? I mean, dude, he just blows me away. And he never ever tried to cram me on one style or anything. I showed him that I learned Smoke on the Water, like on the E string, dun, 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 dun. And dude, he goes, well, dude, check this out. He goes, this is what you call a bar chord. Then I went, shit, and I died. I went, Jesus Christ.
You got the greatest dad on the planet.
I thought it was like fucking 20 million times what it was on the one string, and then I go, I can dig this. And then I really got into like the playing aspects and stuff. I would go over to my dad's house on a Sunday night before I went back to school on Monday. I would take a record like Cocaine by Eric Clapton or a Van Halen, which he had some problems with. He's going, God damn, that dude uses a lot of reverb, son. With that kind of guitar sound, you can almost play anything and it sounds like God. And that's where I got noticing tones and stuff like that, and got into it. He showed me probably like 10 songs, like 10 different Sundays, and showing me songs. I started to pick up on it, and he said, man, are you paying attention to how I'm doing this? I'm just listening, and I'm trying to think of chords, bits and pieces of chords, and he would explain it out as best as possible. And then I just learned it on my own from there.
I moved back to Texas, I don't know, about 80-ish.
Okay.
And there was a garage band at the end of my street.
Okay.
And within the first couple of days, I went and knocked on the door. And Tommy Bradford lived in this house, and he had a little band. And I joined the band immediately. I didn't have a guitar or an amp or anything. So I got a job at a fried chicken joint, bought a guitar and bought an amp, and then I quit. So we get a band together. Me and Tommy have a band with Donnie Hart is the singer. We wanted to play with maybe a more sophisticated drummer. Well, our school had the worst football team. They were awful. But we had the best drum line. So our pep rallies kicked ass. And we had 4 drummers on the front. Now, I don't remember all their names, but they were super badass. And Vince was the best one.
Yeah.
Vince was incredible, even at that age, like 11th grade.
Right.
So me and Tommy, we said, Vince, you want to jam? So we learned like, I don't know, part of Rush 2112 or something like that, original stuff. But it was instrumental. So we didn't need a singer. So we said, Vinny, we want to be in a band with you. And he said, well, you have to take my little brother. Well, his little brother was in middle school. This little skinny guy named Darrell. And he was okay. He was all right. So we didn't really want him. We wanted his brother. So Darrell was kind of a throw-in. That's how I remember it. So anyway, the deal was, well, we'll take your little brother if you'll take our singer. So we became a 5-piece.
Oh, okay.
2 guitars, bass, drums, and a singer. And we started playing parties. And we started, playing at the skating rink or whatever. And we even like rented out the high school auditoriums, and we did shows. And by then we were learning, like, first Def Leppard album came out. I think we played Wasted. And we played April Wine. And we played stuff like that.
Right.
And it was awesome. Background to Vinnie Paul was his daddy was a recording engineer. And I had always wanted to write songs. So early on, we started going after school or in the evenings during the week when there was no one in the studio, we'd go in and write originals or record originals. So by the time we got out of high school, we recorded 20, 30, I don't know, a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
They were awful. But we were kids. We were 14, 15 years old. So about that time, I'm going to say 16. So I wanted to sing my own songs. And so we started playing, and then we thought, well, let's put out a record.
Yeah.
So we recorded an album. We get a band, and their dad agrees to be our manager. He bankrolled the whole thing. It wouldn't have happened as easily without him. He went with us, got us a Suburban, got us a trailer, got us a PA, ran sound for us.
Wow.
It was awesome. And so here we are. I believe we were 16. So Darrell must have been 14. And we started playing gigs. His dad got us gigs. And we'd sell records off the bandstand.
Big Paul from Pantera, Skin Basher, trash. Hey, I'm Don Darrell, lead guitar. Terry Lee, lead vocals. Mom. This is Rex rocking from Pantera. If you like it hot and heavy, we got it. Come on, guys.
So that first album, you know, it's that style of music.
Right.
But then we do the second album. What's the second album called? Projects in the Jungle.
Yeah.
So by that time, we're evolving. More Van Halen, more Judas Priest, more Iron Maiden, stuff like that. So we're getting a little bit better. About that time, Metallica comes out. And then things are starting to go because Darrell meets James and Lars. They come in to stay in Arlington a couple times and used to come in and hang out and jam with Darrell. And you know how earlier I said how we wanted Vince, and he wouldn't go without his brother.
Right.
Well,
It's a package deal.
seems like that came up again. There was discussion with Metallica, and Darrell wasn't going anywhere without his brother. Maybe it wasn't Metallica, but I'm pretty sure it was Megadeth, and it was and so that's that's a different thing. We had opened for Megadeth. I don't know, whatever. Metallica. We saw Metallica's first tour out in Tyler, Texas. It was incredible. Cliff was amazing.
Yeah.
And so from that minute on, and they're hanging out with them. The blue Suburban has a Metallica cassette so every gig Metallica.
Wow.
So that's where that connection came in. And then we finally do the third record, I Am the Night.
Right.
Yep. And by that time we've gotten heavier and even more, and you can hear the influence of say Metallica and more intense heavy music.
Right.
You know. So that's kind of where that was.
When I moved to Texas in 1987, the bar band thing was still this huge thing. And I was always the youngest guy in most any band I was always in. So here I am with older guys, and not just Pantera, a band I was in before Pantera or whatnot. There was this mentality. The idea was if you played in these bars and you were this type of bar band, that I guess your chances of being discovered were better. Okay, well, when I was 16, 17 years old, there was no scene, there was nobody that was going to discover you despite all the rules, and the rules were very strict. And I mean, I guess this is where all this that's talked about, the glammy past of Pantera and all like that. You have to understand, you could not even come close to getting the gig if you didn't look the part, if you didn't play the right cover tunes, etc., etc., etc.
Did you think heavy metal was ever dead, or did you ever worry that?
Well, to this day, I still listen to my old records, you know, and that's we are a heavy metal band, you know, we're a metal band. It's kind of tough to even, you got to gauge where you're at, you know what I mean? It's hard to have that vision just completely 100% molded up in front, you know, like we said, you know, we learned from all the people we looked up to, you know, till we finally got to that level where we said, hey man, this is us, this is how we're doing it, and we're the influencers on other people instead of being the influenced, you know. Also, we never ever bent for any of the trends that came through. I can think of a million interviews of people going, well, what do you think of this, or when are y'all going to start doing that, or bring a record scratcher in, or whatever. It's like, you don't get it, bro, you know.
Your definition of metal music?
Just like I said, I think it's hard, aggressive music that goes along hand in hand with a lot of people's lifestyles. You know, they live for the music.
I mean, it's what I grew up on. It's what we all grew up on. And just because we're doing it in this day and age, and it ain't the cool thing to be doing, it's still heavy metal, you know. I mean, back then it would have been heavy metal, you know, but now don't say heavy metal.
The reason why it appears to be hokey to some people is because they still envision it in the 1983 Iron Maiden leather and spike sense, and it's 1994. It's heavy metal today. It's got a street vibe. It's street level. It's not Dungeons and Dragons and you know, all that. It's about people doing it.
It says that I came into the band and I changed them overnight and all this stuff. It's not true. It's just that I came in the band when they were wanting to get heavier. They lost the singer that wanted to do the commercial thing. We wanted to get heavier. We got heavier.
On the album situation, where we look at it, we got two really great albums. Those are the only two we care to talk about, and those rip, and that's power metal, and of course Cowboys from Hell. So if you find any of that old stuff, it's a collector's item, and keep it in your back pocket.
The Cowboys record is the product of us growing together and being Pantera as it really is, you know. Right. You know, aggressive, you know, growing up, you know, because we're all still real young, except for Vince and Rex.
26.
But just kidding.
Now you guys describe your sound as power groove. That was how you described it on Cowboys from Hell. How have you developed that for a vulgar display of power?
Well,
heavy.
We write songs that move people instead of going 100 million miles per hour. Instead of following anything, really, you know, we just write songs that will move you, you know, and make you want to dance, man. And I'm not talking about, for those of you who don't know, we're not talking about ballroom waltzing. We're talking about dancing. You know what I'm saying? You punks out there know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's like writing songs that we feel, you know, that make us feel one way or another, and that's what, you know, that's what.
It's like not trying. It's just like letting it happen.
Yeah, letting it happen, you know.
Headbangers Ball. Right now we're hanging out with Pantera at the Thunder Roadhouse Cafe in Los Angeles, California, and these guys literally like just got off the plane. Tell us why you're in LA first of all.
Shooting a new video for a new song off the new album. The album's called Far Beyond Driven, and the song is called I'm Broken. That's what it's.
Now you people out there haven't even heard the record yet, and I heard it, and if you thought like Cowboys from Hell was heavy, and then it went to the next stage, which was real heavy, this is like, it's like, people use the word heavy so much, and it's like overdone, but this album is like a jillion times heavier than Far Beyond. And it seems like sometimes a band, when they want to be that like maybe 4 million record mark, that they'd want to get like, oh, let's put a kind of mellow songs in it. There was like nothing mellow in this album at all.
Thank you.
And that was done on purpose.
It's just It's what we're doing, you know.
Is it that you get like more and more, like, are you really pissed off on this record or something?
No, we just know how to write Pantera songs, and we do it damn good. And in my opinion, it's not really that different. It's not like we're playing more extreme and fast. It's the same. It's just, you know, heavy, man.
We just grew up on a healthy dose of Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and Kiss, you know, and it's something that runs deep in our blood. And you know, no matter how successful the band became, we always wanted to be hard and to the core and exactly what we've always been about, you know. And just because we've become successful doesn't mean we need to turn into a radio-friendly band or change our direction to appeal to the masses.
My boy sits down and play the drums. You know, he plays big sticks and he plays hard, you know. Same thing for Philip, guts it. Same thing for me when I play the guitar, and Rex when he plays the bass. That's just the way we do it. We're aggressive, and it's a feeling that we achieve from it, you know. Rip me open right now, it's what's inside.
Man, bottom line is it's reality. And Philip writes songs about things that are real to him, things that have happened to us collectively or to him in his life, you know. And we're kids too still, even though we're a little bit older these days, you know. And our fans truly relate to every song we write. It means something to them deep down inside.
How long have you been out on the road now?
About 8 years. Straight, that's the truth. I mean, we've been able to be the most consistent band in rock and roll. You know, over the past 7 years, we put out 4 records on an every 2-year cycle. We've toured at least 150 to 200 shows for each record. And, you know, we're still here today when a lot of bands are gone. It's the same 4 guys as when it started. It's a
Never
real rock and
show.
roll deal right there. Yeah.
Drag the water some more, like never before. Our squad runs off. I wanna fucking hear everybody.
There's no good fucking reason to stick a needle of heroin in your arm. And I did it. And once again, I think it was a mentality of this can't kill me, this can't stop me, this cannot even get me the way it does other people because I'm this superhuman monster and I'm indestructible. Well, that was bullshit.
Nobody even plays guitar solos anymore. There's a bunch of parts that you could actually that could be considered a guitar solo that aren't really just a wide out free for all, you know, all this shit, you know what I mean? We're going for power, you know, and if the song calls for it, I do them. And some songs we write and they're done, and I go, wow, we didn't even think about putting a solo in that song. Guess it didn't need it. Fuck it, you know. But dude, I love to play lead guitar, and yeah, that's one of our power elements, you know, and we do it still. We still do that. Yeah, we sing. Yeah, we got riffs. Not just ching, 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 you know. Don't get me going.
You know, we got to talk about a little bit about the last time we saw each other, and it was kind of like we didn't talk much about what was going on, but it was kind of obvious that there was some changes going on, and you guys have moved on. And by the size of that giant Damageplan advertisement on the side of the bus, I mean, it's this nice suburban house, and you pull up and there's this gigantic bus, and it's just, normal run of the day. It's like a Crown Royal pool, Right. So it evolves. You guys evolved into Damageplan. Enough time sitting around waiting for whatever to happen. So the two new guys, who are they?
We got Pat on vocals, Pat Lockman, and we got Bob Zillow on bass.
So when did you guys start with the record? You guys told me that you did it out in the back.
Yeah, we did it down in the same place that we've done the last couple of Pantera records. After about a year of all the things, the nonsense that went on with Pantera, and me and Dime trying to communicate with the other guys and get to the bottom of it, we realized that it pretty much had run its course. They didn't want to be a part of it anymore, and we couldn't continue to sit around and wait. We
got to rock and roll, man.
We want to play, and with Pantera, we were 1,000% dedicated to it. We never stepped away from it, never did any side projects, nothing. It was all about that, just like the guys in Kiss. It's all about Kiss, And so when we started Damageplan, we said we were going to make the same commitment to it. And we're going to have 1,000% into it. We're not looking back. We're not thinking, we're going to do a Pantera reunion 5-6 years down the road. We're like, that was what it was. It's done. And now we're going to build a new legacy with our new band. And that's the mindset and the goal that we got.
Last December, heavy metal band Damageplan took the stage at the El Rosa Villa. During their first set, more than 200 anxious fans packed the concert hall to hear the group and one of the country's most known guitarists, Dimebag Darrell Abbott, play. But just a few minutes into their first song, trouble broke out. You can see shooter Nathan Gale in a black jacket and baseball cap charging on a stage and pulling out a gun. He was headed straight for Dimebag Darrell, the band's lead guitarist. The crowd, shocked, unbelievably didn't move. Someone on stage cried for help.
Call 911, somebody!
While Dimebag Darrell lays on stage with band members, even fans trying to resuscitate him, there's chaos. Police say minutes after Gale shot Dimebag, he takes a hostage and reloads his gun behind a speaker. In a matter of 5 minutes, Gale fired 15 shots before Officer James Niggemeyer took him down with one single shot. A single shot that saved lives. Moments later, Officer Niggemeyer steps in front of the camera, shotgun in hand, a blank look on his face.
I want to say, bless his family and all of his close friends. And I never got a chance to say goodbye in the right way, and it kills me. And I'm so sorry.
Welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll Casualties, and this episode differs from any one that I've done before because unlike the other artists and bands that I have featured, admittedly, I'm not a huge Pantera fan. I don't know that much about Pantera. I knew of their music when I was in my 30s and 40s, but it just was a little heavier than the type of music that I enjoyed and that I listened to. But the story of lead guitarist Dimebag Darrell Abbott is certainly one, when we think of Rock and Roll Casualties, one that immediately, at least for my generation, springs to mind. It was so shocking. Happened on December 8th, 2004. Ironically, 24 years to the date that John Lennon was also assassinated by a deranged fan in New York City. This murder happened in Columbus, Ohio. And there's no denying Dimebag Darrell was one of the most talented guitarists of the 1990s and the early 2000s. That's not up for dispute. When I was doing research for this video, honestly, I knew of him, I knew about Pantera, but he really was an incredibly gifted guitarist, even though it's in a genre that I'm not particularly fond of. And I can appreciate Pantera. I've certainly grown to enjoy more of their music over the years. I'm more of a Cowboys from Hell era kind of guy. Beyond that, I gotta say, I just have a difficult time getting into it. But the story, to me, is very compelling because this was a guy started so very young. As you heard in the interviews leading up to this particular segment of the video, started when he was like 14. Already he was a guitar savant, so incredibly talented. And he was the little kid. His older brother, Vincent Paul, was a drummer, and much like the Van Halen brothers, and I think that's one of the reasons why Dimebag felt so connected to Eddie Van Halen, because they had a very similar experience. Whereas Darrell started out on the drums, just like Eddie Van Halen did, and then gave it up to their brother and took up the guitar, and they were siblings much in the same way that Van Halen were bandmates and also siblings. But I gotta say, Dimebag Darrell, certainly it's a tragedy, no doubt about it. And the thing that I didn't realize is before, these events unfolded in December, but as early as April 2004, that same year, the man who shot Dimebag Darrell, I'm not going to say his name because that guy's a piece of shit and I don't need to give him any more notoriety than he already has, but the same gunman who shot him back in April stormed the stage at a Damageplan concert, did not obviously engage in any violence. He did storm the stage, disrupted the concert. He was taken away, but Dimebag Darrell did not press any charges because he didn't feel like going back. This happened in Cincinnati, by the way, the incident in April of 2004. He didn't want to go back to Cincinnati, Ohio, to be involved in the court case and pressing the charges. So they said, we're not pressing charges, and they moved on. Obviously not knowing what the future would hold and that would not be the last time that they would see this particular gunman. But I feel like I've told the story in as much as I could in the video kind of documentary portion of this video. So I don't really need to get into a whole lot of the history of Dimebag. You guys know it better than I do, but I did want to do a video because it's always really stuck with me. Just the fact that this had to happen. A young man in the prime of his career gunned down by a shooter with mental illness problems for sure, but that doesn't make it any less of a reprehensible crime that went down that day in Columbus, Ohio. So anyway, that is my installment on Dimebag Darrell Abbott. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and again, always open for suggestions for future ones. Thanks again for watching, and take care.